that area was largely centered around some samples that were found positive in West Virginia, and that area is certainly expanding with positives.
We're going to take our first time out. You're listening to Catch It Live. More to come with Joe Rogerson. We're back after this, live at Jimmy's Grill. And welcome back. We're live at Jimmy's Grill. And my special guest is still Joe Rogerson, and we're discussing CWD. Now, Joe, if an outbreak happens of CWD in Delaware, what are the steps and procedures that you would take?
We have identified two scenarios of finding CWD in our state. The first one being just a positive sample shows up with some of the samples that we collected this year where there wasn't CWD found in a neighboring state nearby where we could relate, our positive case to probably that source population. In that instance, we would try and take measures to slow or prevent the disease from spreading more, and that could entail trying to reduce the deer population in those areas, maybe liberalizing seasons and bag limits to encourage hunters to harvest deer so that we can, obtain enough samples to determine how common CWD is on the landscape. Whereas, say for example, the case in Maryland, that's still 150 miles away, but if that spreads more and we see that it's just a matter of time before CWD comes to Delaware as it trickles into our landscape, what we're going to call the bleed-in effect, that kind of thing, we may not be as aggressive to try and eradicate the disease from Delaware because unless we build a fence across the state, we know that it's going to come in eventually. We would still try and potentially reduce deer population numbers in that area to slow down the spread, with the idea being that if you had fewer deer in that area, you'd have animals coming in less contact with each other to therefore try and slow the spread of the diseases down. The reason why we are concerned about it, not from a human safety standpoint, but if a deer contracts CWD, it's fatal. There's no cure for this or anything like that. So we want to prevent CWD from reaching Delaware, having a disease here that would cause our deer to die if they contracted it.
What is one thing that people might not know about CWD?
Probably how it's spread, the nature of that it's a prion, And essentially what a prion is it's an abnormal protein that the animal's body does not sense that protein is not the protein that should be in the animal. So the body doesn't try and fight or get rid of that abnormal protein there. And when that abnormal protein gets into place in the animal, it actually causes small holes, microscopic. You wouldn't be able to see the holes, but actually holes that develop in the deer's brain, which actually then causes the animal to waste away.
Now, we want to move along to our next topic, which is EHD. And what should people know about EHD, which is transmitted by biting flies, commonly known as midges?
As midges, yeah. So EHD, the technical scientific name for it is epizootic hemorrhagic disease. That's a mouthful, so we refer to it as EHD.
Okay.
A lot of hunters will refer to it as blue tongue. That's sort of a slang name for it. But EHD is a viral infection that's spread by a midge, which is a little tiny gnat that we often call no-see-ums. The midges aren't infected by the virus or impacted by it. They're simply a carrier for it, similar to how some mosquito-borne diseases are. And these midges feed on blood. So if a deer is their host that they try and get their blood meal from, when they bite that animal, they could inadvertently transmit this virus to the deer, which can oftentimes be fatal to the animal. Fortunately, EHD is not something that's transmitted to you and I or cats or dogs or anything like that. So those same midges could land on us to get their blood meal, but we wouldn't get sick from the virus. It's something that affects deer, and to a lesser degree, it can affect cattle. But it's more of a deer impact.
What are the first signs of EHD?
It depends. It is a viral infection, so you can sort of think of it as a really bad flu, put it in layman's terms. Some animals that contract EHD, and certainly it's probably going to vary on how strong their immune system is when they contract the virus, but it can be lethal. It can kill a deer within 24 hours of contracting the virus, so you're not going to find too many symptoms of a deer that gets a virus and dies that quickly. Often in those cases when an animal has a really severe case of the viral infection, they tend to gravitate towards water, and a lot of folks contact me because they find deer near water that either can't get up or have died, and they think the water's contaminated and the deer got sick from drinking the water. When in reality, the virus has caused an infection, and the animal's body temperature is high, trying to fight off the fever, the fever that they have, and they become very thirsty when they have this viral infection, so they gravitate towards water sources. So animals that have EHD, we typically find either them staggering near water sources or actually, if they've expired, dead in and around a water source. But not all animals will die of EHD. Some of them will get sick from the viral infection. They may lose a lot of weight because it's such a severe virus, but their immune system will catch up and actually fight off the infection and recover from it.
When did we first discover EHD in Delaware?
I've been here for 7 years. We've had EHD cases every year, since then. It was first really diagnosed back in the 1950s. EHD has probably been around for eons. I'm not sure when the first case was. My predecessor, it's been around for a long time, I guess is the best I could say. It's maybe becoming more common in Delaware, but we've certainly had cases of it for many years.
Does this disease infect the humans?
It's not transmissible to people in two ways, which is important. One, it's not transmitted to us by the midges, by the bite of a midge. And then equally important is it's not transmissible through venison. So hunters that harvest deer and consume the meat, they can't get the virus that way or anything like that. It's strictly something that affects deer.
Has EHD affected the deer harvest in Delaware?
So this past year was what we're going to call an abnormally severe year for EHD. Typically when we have a mild winter that precedes a dry summer, it's when the climate conditions are ripe for us to have a bad year, and that's exactly what we've exhibited in this past year. And we did see a decline in the deer harvest in the areas where we had a lot of reports of EHD mortality. Specifically for the hunters that are out there, those would be deer management zones 12 and 15. But those are the areas centered around Milton and Georgetown from a geographic sense, or areas where most of our EHD reports came from this year. And we did see a decline in what our harvest numbers in those areas as a result of the mortality that took place.
And so those are the two most frequent zones that were hit the hardest?
Absolutely. And, back in 2007, so 5 years ago, conditions were right for us to have, an outbreak again, and that was a severe year for us. That year, we had two areas where we had a problem with it, Greenwood and around Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge. So not entirely new for us, but this year was just that one spot down around central Sussex County on the eastern side of the state.
What is one more thing that we need to know about EHD before we go to our next topic?
Again, stressing it's not transmissible to people. This is a deer virus, and while mortality with EHD is generally not widespread, but what I mean that is it generally does not affect entire counties or an entire state, but locally it can have significantly impacts, around certain farms or properties and such like that. So we just saw it in that small section of Sussex County. It wasn't widespread, but yeah, in that area where we had it, it can have significant impacts on, the survival of the deer there.
Now, the next topic I want to discuss is animal rescue. On January the 30th at Haven Lake in Milford, the Delaware Division of Natural Resources and Environmental Control rescued a deer that had fallen through the ice. What procedures did you have to follow, and how involved were you in the rescue?
I was not as involved as I thought I was going to be. So we got a call from a concerned citizen who was driving down the road and saw a deer struggling out in the middle of the lake. It had fallen through the ice. Apparently the ice was thick enough that it was able to walk out towards the middle of the lake where the ice was too thin and it fell in. And it couldn't get itself back on the ice. So we had Fish and Wildlife Enforcement agents who have an office in Georgetown. They were able to respond sooner than I was. They were able to bring a duck boat in, and actually the ice was thick enough that they could run the boat and crush through the ice until they got out to where the open water was. I was in pursuit or bringing an airboat down in case the ice was too thick that we would have been able to get an airboat out to the animal. But what the enforcement agents were able to do was they went over to the shoreline and broke a channel in the ice out to where the deer was. And then the animal was able to swim from where it had fallen through the ice, through the water, up to shore, where it was able to climb onto the bank and recover. Enforcement agents went out later that afternoon, and the animal was gone. She'd, gotten her strength back and moved on.
So it was released pretty quickly.
We didn't have to, capture it and take it to anyone or anything like that. She was in good enough shape that she was able to recover on her own, and without the help of enforcement agents, it could have been a very different outcome.
What, depending on the circumstance, what measure or procedure do you have to use to rescue a deer?
This is very new. I've seen cases or incidents of this in other states. This is the first incident we've had like this here in Delaware. Obviously, the safety of our personnel going out there was first and foremost. We were all wearing life jackets and appropriate gear for dealing with the cold water and such. But the conditions were suitable enough that we thought with reasonable effort, not putting us in grave danger or anything, that we were able to save this animal in this case. But if the ice was too thick for that duck boat, we did have the airboat there that would actually just skim across the ice, that we could have tried to go about that route if we needed to, but the duck boat was sufficient.
Normally, how involved are you in the deer rescues?
Like I said, this is the first case of a deer falling through the ice since I've been here. Other cases of rescuing, this was several years ago. It was a new housing development, and I actually had a deer that jumped in, fell in the dark, who knows, but it fell in the basement of an unfinished house, and there weren't stairs that had been put in yet. So we actually had to tranquilize the deer and get some ropes and a hoist and get the deer out of the basement, and we reversed the immobilization drugs on the animal and basically moved it away from the building site and took it away from there, and it went off out in the woods.
What was the people's reaction?
It was actually a builder that found it. He came in that day to start working on the house, and lo and behold, here's this little buck running around the basement of this house down there. So it's not common that we have to do rescues like that, but it's something that we do have the tools and we are able to respond accordingly. And
you released him pretty quickly, too?
We did release him as well, yes.
Okay. Well, Joe, before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just touching again on the EHD results, from we had with the harvest being down in those areas. What we saw back in 2007, I alluded to that was another bad year for us with EHD. The population did recover. The harvest was down, that first year following the outbreak. it started to increase that second year there, and by 2 years after, the harvest, approached levels that we saw before the outbreak. So hunters that are in those areas where EHD did take place or occur this year, should start to see the population recover within a couple years. But we are going to be monitoring it closely to see if there's anything we need to do.
Joe, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
My special guest has been Joe Rogerson, certified wildlife biologist. Coming up, the Spinning Wheels Racing Report, and you'll learn what Danica Patrick is doing. Still to come.
Hey, welcome back to Catch It Live. Anthony Joseph is going to do some sports now. As we were talking earlier, you're taking the whole show over here, Anthony.
I'm not doing that, but it's
but
time
okay,
for
do a good job.
It's time for the Spinning Wheels Racing Report. And as I was alluding to, Danica Patrick, she looks like a different lady now that she's divorced and dating Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I might be hearing wedding bells in the future if her success continues, as she's the first female driver to be on the pole for the Daytona 500 on Sunday at 12 o'clock.
No, is that only for the Daytona 500, or has she won a pole before? Any other poles?
Not in Sprint Cup.
Right. Has any other?
No,
any Sprint Cup race?
Yes, but not at the
okay.
Daytona Daytona 500. She was when she was at the Indy Series.
Right.
She had a pole and she had a victory, but there's never been a female at the Daytona 500, and she's the first. Yeah, there has been, many years ago, but not the big race.
Right.
This is the Super Bowl, as the Daytona 500. Everybody wants to win that. Big payday, and
I wouldn't mind winning it.
I wouldn't either, but we're not in it unless Jim's going to sponsor us.
I've driven Dover down, so I could probably go down there and at least take second or third down at Daytona.
Well, I guess me and Jim's going to be your pit crew then. I don't know if we're any good, but we're there for you.
Okay.
So she's the first female, and then in second position is going to be Jeff Gordon.
Okay.
So the qualifying was on Sunday, and they had the two fastest speeds, so they're locked in. Now, there's going to be the Gatorade duels on Thursday in the afternoon. Now, there's been a debate. Does Danica want to try to earn respect and be kind of aggressive and win the duel, or does she want to kind of protect her car, play it safe, and get away from the wrecks?
Well, I know what race car drivers want to do. They want to win. It doesn't
matter. They want to win, but one of the, I believe it was Ricky Craven, one of the analysts for ESPN, he said she's smart and she's going to protect her car. Because if she wrecks, she would have to go to a backup, and she would not be on the pole for the Daytona 500. She would have to start in the back at the 43rd position, and that would not be fun. And I don't know if she'd have a very good day if she started back there. So you really have to use a lot of common judgment. And I know you want to win, but it's not about Thursday because you're locked in. It's all about Sunday.
I'd try to win them all. If it were me.
Well, there's a lot of drivers that win the pole, like David Rudiman. He won the pole several years ago at Dover International Speedway, and he doesn't have a ride now. It's all about winning the Daytona 500. Several years ago, Jeff Bodine, he finished third, and from that race, with that high performance, he got a couple more races.
Right.
Now, eventually, he had to retire, but if you perform well, you're going to get some sponsors. You're going to get an opportunity, just like Trevor Bayne when he won a couple years ago, the Daytona 500. Last year's winner was Matt Kenseth. Before that was Trevor Bayne. So you want to make sure it's all about the Daytona 500. Yes, you want to win, but if you want to have a successful career, you better use some sense and not try to win every race, because ultimately it's not. You want to win the big race.
Exactly.
Because Derek Cope, he was a winner, and he wasn't that good of a driver, but he could always say he was a Daytona 500 winner. So that's what it's all about. Yes, it's a competitive nature, Colin. I know you want to win every race.
I would win every race. So there's a difference.
Oh, you would win every race.
Win every race.
Okay, well, Jimmy Johnson, I guess, wouldn't be the superstar anymore. But
no competition.
But it's a team sport, and you have to protect your car, because if you go on a backup, it might not be as fast, Colin. So, I mean, you never know. You want to win, but as you can see on Saturday with the Sprint Unlimited, Tony Stewart didn't use very good judgment. He wrecked a lot of cars, and that's why Kevin Harvick won. And it was really a boring race. That's what a lot of people said, because there was a lot of drivers knocked out because Tony Stewart got reckless. And that's why they call him Smoke.
That's typical of Tony Stewart anyway, so that's what you expect with him.
Right. So with the restrictor plates like Daytona 500, you also have Talladega. You want to make sure you avoid the big wreck. And in the Gatorade duels, in both of them on Thursday, she, I believe, is in the first one. Gordon's going to be in the second one.
Okay. And
they want to make sure that they do not wreck. She can try to get the victory and say she wrecks, and then she starts all the way at the longest line.
But if you're good, you can still work your way right back through. I've seen it before.
You can be good, but it's unpredictable. You don't know what the other drivers are going to do. Some of the smart ones I've seen, like Daytona, Mark Martin, they're way in the back, and you're like, well, why is he in 40 first position? And he's doing that because back there, he's not going to get wrecked. So you have to really be smart, and we'll just have to see. But Jeff Gordon, he definitely wants to earn a victory. And
I figured out there's one place to be that you guarantee nobody in front of you is going to wreck you.
On the pits.
That's in the lead.
Yeah. Well, they can get you from behind. I've seen that many times too.
Yep.
As Jeff Gordon knows that. As remember, he was leading, and Clint Boyer got him from behind. And Jimmy Johnson was in third, and they all wrecked. It was like a chain reaction. So Jeff Gordon knows that in the lead, you're not safe either. Really, the only way you're safe, you're in the pits. You can still get beat up a little bit, but not the big wreck.
It's hard to win from the pits, though.
It is, yes.
All right, so anything else we need to finish up with NASCAR?
Just to make sure you tune in to the big race on Sunday. The Grand Marshal is James Franco. He's a big-time actor, and he's going to be there. As in the past, they've had Kelly Clarkson and some other ones, but finally they went with an actor. I think a couple years ago they had the wrestler John Cena, but I was a little partial when they had Kelly Clarkson because she's a good singer.
Mm-hmm. She is.
But 12 o'clock on Sunday, and we'll see if Danica can win from the pole. If she's on the pole,
right.
She doesn't wreck.
All right, we got basketball.
Yes, we have basketball, and there's a lot of games going on tonight as Milford is taking on the Cape Vikings. Mm-hmm. And Steve Ray, they need to win that game, and if they win, we will see them on Friday at Smyrna High School.
That's the Cape Vikings.
That will be the Cape Vikings if they beat the Milford Bucks. Milford's 10-9. They have no chance. If Milford somehow pulls up the upset, and they could. The last game was 62-60 early on in the season in Milford. Tonight it's home in Lewis. And if they pull out the victory, they will take on Polytech. It'll be the second game because it's going to be the boys' conference championship following the girls' conference championship, and most likely it will be the Smyrna girls taking on the Seaford girls, and Seaford is one of the hottest teams in the conference in boys and girls, and most likely we'll get to see them. They are taking on Indian River, and they have to win tonight to clinch the conference. And Smyrna has Sussex Tech, and most likely they'll win. So the showdown, it'll be 6:15, 6 o'clock a pregame. And on CatchItLive.com, we're going to have the big game for you. We're going to have both of them. So after the girls' game, we're going to have the boys' game. And just a lot of good action on CatchItLive.com.
Yeah, and we're also going to be doing the first and second round?
First and second round of the playoffs.
Okay, so are we still looking for sponsors for those?
Yes, we certainly are. If a business wants to sponsor the first and second round, all you have to do, I'll give you two ways to contact me. Call me at 302-245-3309, or you can email me anytime at anthonythesportsguy@gmail.com.
And that's when we do these games are archived, so your commercial is embedded in that game.
Correct.
Forever. So as long as it's on the internet, your commercial is embedded in there. So it's just unlimited potential of what that commercial could.
Right, because the game we did on Friday was Cape. It was 76-65. They defeated the Sussex Tech Ravens.
Yes.
And if you wanted to listen to that game after the show tonight, you could listen to Sussex Tech and Cape, and you could listen to that one. You could listen to the game we did last Monday between the Seaford Blue Jays and the Woodbridge Raiders.
That was a really good game.
And that was, if you're a Woodbridge fan, as Trevon Jones, it was a Trevon Jones show, as he shows why he's one of the best players in the state. And you can, Colin, see the first game that we did, Milford taking on Sussex Central, and Sussex Central won in the closing 4 seconds as Therese White stole the ball from the Milford ball handler, and they won the game.
Yep. Also, what I wanted to mention is that if we get enough sponsors, we're actually going to do video like we're doing now of the last 2 games, the first and second round of the state championships. So not only will your commercial be embedded, but it'll be a video, and everything else will be video. And we expect to get huge numbers of people tuning into that when we do that. So,
yeah, especially with the Seaford girls basketball team, it's really remarkable. Because if you put it in perspective, the boys are having like a down year, and you really don't see the Henlopen Conference dominating. Last year, girls basketball, Ursuline won it. In boys, it was Sanford. They've been dominant for many, many years. So when you have a good Henlopen Conference team, if it's boys or girls, it's really kind of special and unique because you're not going to have that. Seaford could be good this year, and the next year they could be just in the middle of the pack. So you really just kind of want to embrace their stellar season.
And that's a pretty big possibility with the Seaford girls because they've got a lot of seniors.
Yes, they do. They're 17-2, and they're on a 12-game winning streak. Their last loss was in a tournament, a holiday tournament, against Damascus High, and the last time I checked, they were undefeated, and they're one of the best teams in the state of Maryland.
Wow.
So you can just kind of put it in perspective how good the Blue Jays season has been. Their other loss at the hands of Smyrna, and Smyrna has a conference loss as they lost last week in a tight one to the Sussex Central Golden Knights, and they're one of the hottest teams in the Henlopen North, because Seaford's in the Henlopen South, and Central has won 8 in a row. So girls basketball, especially in the Henlopen Conference, is really exciting this season.
Right. So one more time, if you want to advertise on, we've got 2 more games coming up. We got the girls conference game coming up. We got the boys conference game, and then we got the first and second round of state championships. And what's your contact information again, Anthony?
All you have to do is call me at 302-245-3309, or you can email me anytime at anthonythesportsguy@gmail.com.
And anything else we need to get in here before we go?
No, I think that'll do it. Just make sure you tune in once again to pregame on Friday at 6 o'clock. They're going to have the championship this year at Smyrna. Mm-hmm. Now, last year we weren't doing it. They were held in Milford and at Lake Forest, the girls. So they rotate them. And Smyrna, if they beat Sussex Tech, Colin, they're going to be hosting Seaford. And it's going to be a disadvantage. But as you mentioned, a lot of seniors on that team. I believe it's 3 that starts. And they then have Shay Murray. She's a junior. And she's the athlete of the month for Seaford. Okay. And she's really having a good season. So they have so much talent. And hopefully, they can prevail. But it's a big advantage for Smyrna because they'll have, I'm expecting a sold-out crowd, especially from the Smyrna fans. And hopefully the Blue Jays that don't go up for the game will be listening to catchitlive.com. But once again, after that game, we're going to have Polytech taking on, could be Kate, most likely if they win, they're in. And if it's not, Kate could still get in, but then it becomes a very complicated situation, right, as Steve Ray alluded to.
We don't even have time to get into
that. No, we do not.
That's a whole show in itself.
That probably is. So. But he came after the game for the coach's corner, and Kate now 12-7 as Sussex Tech 13-6. And Colin, they had a game on Saturday, and they defeated Concord. So Sussex Tech might make the playoffs. You just, at this point, you don't know. Polytech's in. We do know that.
Yep, that's for sure. All right, well, we got to wrap this up. We got to get out of here. We got Jim Weller coming up next. He's going to have Dr. Randall Horsley talking about nutrition. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, Jim Weller, and we are back at Jimmy's Grill. If you are sitting there watching at home and saying, you know what, I just had dinner, but I'm a little hungry, come on out, get some dessert. They got all kinds of pies and cakes and things like that. But our next guest is Dr. Randall Horsley. I believe you work with Dr. Triglia down at, what's the exact name of that? I forgot.
Peninsula Chiropractic Center.
You got it right.
Yep.
Peninsula Chiropractic Center down on Route 13. And Dr. T's been around for many years, and you've been working with him for a while now. And
9 months. Yeah.
9 months, really?
Already, almost a year.
Gosh, I thought it was just a month or two ago.
Seems like it, yeah.
Isn't that something? Well, so you'll be up for your 1-year review, huh? He'll give you a big raise.
Thanks for reminding me about that, yeah.
Yeah.
I was relaxed until you told me that. Now I know.
Well, anyway, tell us a little bit about chiropractic. In other words, a lot of people don't even quite understand it. I personally am a big fan of chiropractic. I like going to a chiropractor. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a good preventative maintenance on your body and your spine and so on. But why don't you tell us, like, what do you tell somebody when they say, because here's the thing, a lot of people, I think, people might need chiropractic care before they think they need it, in other words. So I think it's kind of got to do with keeping things in a line and keeping you straight and so on and focused. And I think a lot of people don't think of chiropractic care until one day they say, oh my goodness, I have an ache or a pain or a twitch or I can't stand up straight and now all of a sudden I need it.
Yep.
But I kind of got a feeling they needed it before. So you tell me.
Before they thought they did. Yeah.
So who needs chiropractic, first of all? At what age might you need it?
Every human being alive will need chiropractic, whether they think they do or not. I mean,
Okay.
if they're a human being, chiropractic will help them tremendously because they're a human being. And that's the best way to put it, and maybe you won't understand it unless I explain a little bit here, but everybody. My youngest patient's 4 hours old.
Really?
My oldest patient was 104. And, chiropractic isn't, a lot of people will say, if you go down the street, I think we were saying this just the other day and a few minutes ago, if you go down the street and ask 10 people, what's a chiropractor? Sum it up in one sentence, you're going to get 10 different answers. What's really interesting is if you talk to even some of the chiropractors, hey, what's a chiropractor? You might get some different answers.
Okay.
So, but one thing holds true is that we find and we remove subluxation complexes.
What is this? Subluxation.
So I asked you, what's a chiropractor? You said, well, it's like a front end alignment. It keeps you straight, right?
Right.
When in fact, it's not keeping you straight. It's what keeping you straight does. In other words, are we really trying to keep you straight? Are we trying to, straighten a spine out and things like that? Not necessarily. Think of function in relation to structure. What we do is optimize your function using the structure that you have and tweaking it here and there. As a matter of fact, there's 5 components to a subluxation complex. If it was that easy just to keep you aligned, I mean, anybody can kind of feel and say, oh, well, that's out, and try to throw that in, and, that's not what chiropractic is at all. It goes much, much deeper than that. There's actually 5 elements to a subluxation complex. You're dealing with kinesiopathology, a myopathology. These are big words that really mean really simple things.
I only went to 12th grade.
Right, well.
Okay.
So you've got kinesiopathology, you've got myopathology, you've got neuropathology, you've got histopathology, and then you've got the pathophysiology. And those are the 5 elements that literally have to be present for a vertebral subluxation complex to be called a subluxation from a chiropractor standpoint. Okay. Now, from a medical definition, a subluxation is just 2 objects that are next to each other, and one is actually misplaced.
Okay.
And so that would be a subluxation. Anything out of place from its adjacent surrounding, that would be a subluxation. For a chiropractor, that's just not the case. We're looking for a physiological effect, a kinesiological effect, histo effect, biochemical. It gets into physiopathologies. So there's techniques that we learn to do that. And, we kind of joke with people. We say, well, they say, well, my friend picked me up the other day and my back snapped and I didn't have to come in and see you. And it's like, oh, well, I guess we just go to school for 5 academic years for nothing, And so there's a big difference between those fixations that you hear popping every once in a while and what a chiropractor will do in removing a subluxation correctly. And what really is the benefit is you're taking the waste away from that joint or that problem area. You're identifying the problem area, number one, and it might be an area that doesn't even hurt. And a lot of times it's asymptomatic. You're strengthening the muscle. You are straightening biochemically or biomechanically. You are putting some support and a little bit of structural support there. So there's a lot that goes into just a simple adjustment. It takes years to learn, literally. But the ramifications to an actual impulse can bring a physiological, and this is important, really listen to this, a physical impulse with a talented chiropractor done the correct way, removing a vertebral subluxation complex, can literally put forth a myriad of cascade reactions throughout the body, globally, in increasing their health and optimizing their function and their performance. And that's really the best way to put it, I think, is we remove the interference between your brain and the rest of your body. And if you really think about it, every cell in your entire body is receiving instruction from your brain some way or another. The nerves get it there. So we have nothing. Chiropractors.
So you have the greatest brain in the world. If you have a pinched nerve, you're in big trouble.
Not even a pinched nerve, but all kinds of different things can happen there. What happens if? I know we're taking a break here pretty soon, but
yep.
I guess
I'm going to adjust your back while we're on commercial break.
All right, thank you.
Just to see how it goes. But anyway, why don't we take our commercial break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to get a little deeper into this. So, folks, stay tuned. Dr. Randall Horsley. We are going to get things straight here in just a few minutes. Okay? So anyway, we'll be right back after this commercial.
Thanks.
Hey everybody, Jim Weller. We are back with Dr. Randall Horsley, Peninsula Chiropractic Center.
Sorry, yep.
That's right.
PCC.
And I want to learn a little bit more. I want to ask you another question. What if somebody's just feeling a little under the weather? Maybe feeling a cold coming on or something like that. Can chiropractic care help with that?
Sure.
How?
Well, first of all, let me ask you a question, and then I'll answer that.
Okay.
I don't want to answer a question with a question, but to answer that, I need to go here.
Who's asking the questions, usually controlling the conversation? Okay, but go ahead.
If someone's sick,
Right.
would you call a person sick if they had, let's say, a 100-degree fever from a bacterial infection, and they had the chills and sweat and fever and all that? Is that person sick to you?
I'm not sure what sick means. They're not feeling well.
They're not feeling well at all.
Okay.
Most people would say, what do? They call in sick. They're
Okay.
sick. Chiropractic does not look at a human body the same way medical does. We have a whole different philosophy. We are healthcare. There's a difference between medical and chiropractic in that medical will look at it and say, that's a sick person, there's symptoms, and that's fine, that's a philosophy, and they'll give them a drug or aspirin or something to reduce the fever because that was the symptom. The fever went high, they feel cruddy. Let's get the fever away and make them feel better. When in fact,
Which it will. Getting rid of a fever will make you feel better.
And that is an option, you bet.
Okay.
With some side effects, because every drug has a side effect. But here's the deal. A chiropractor will look at a patient that has a 100-degree fever from let's say a bacterial infection. Now, if it's unknown, then yeah, there's a problem. We need to, but if
Right.
it was just a normal, let's say, flu, we know it's probably a bacterial viral infection. They're sick. That is a natural response. The body is healthy as a horse. Their health is high as a kite. Their immune response is kicking in, and guess what that does to the body? It increases the temperature. It fights off infection. It's in perfect health.
It's doing what the body was designed
That's
to
right.
do.
And chiropractors care about their patients. Of course we do. We care if you feel good or bad and everything else. But think of it this way. And I explained it to my patients this way. You have your good days and your bad days. You feel good, you feel bad. But over here there's a meter that nobody really knows about, and that's health. Up here at the very top, that's 100%. Down here at the bottom, that's 0. What's the definition of death when health reaches 0? So our job is to keep that high if we're health doctors, right? If we're into health care, that's what we do. So you're going to have good and bad days. If your health is up here and you come in feeling terrible, well, I feel for you, but no, I know you're okay. You're going to come in feeling great. You're going to come in feeling bad. I'm looking at this. But if you're down here and you're feeling great, that can be pretty dangerous. That's when you wake up or don't wake up the next day and you were feeling great. So we have to keep the health high. The whole idea with a chiropractic involves everything in the human body. Organs, tissues, cells. Name one thing in the human body. Here's a challenge to anybody. Name one thing in the human body that the brain does not communicate or have a direct effect with in any way.
Your breath?
Even that.
Really?
Absolutely. The saliva and all the things that's the endocrine system and everything. So yeah, absolutely.
That was a trick question then.
Oh, almost, yeah. Which leads me to say that if our job is to remove all the interference between the central nervous system and every cell and tissue and organ in your entire body, if that's what we do, then, and you understand that disease comes from a state of ease to a state of, now, well, let me put it this way. This will sum it up real nice. If take a human being that's in a state of ease. They have 100% communication between their central nervous system and the rest of their body. Their organs, everything is functioning 100%. But let's say because of a fall, a trauma, stress, thoughts, negative thoughts that stress them out so bad that they just get tense, or some kind of thoughts, trauma, or toxin they picked up in food, drinking water, tap water, air you're breathing. I mean, you can get toxins from almost anywhere nowadays. Fast food. Thoughts, traumas, toxins fill us every single day. That's what causes these so-called vertebral subluxation complexes that are very, very real.
So nobody's immune from it.
Nobody is immune from it, and everybody will have a subluxation complex somewhere. So when you ask me who could benefit if they're human and they have a spine and they're breathing, they can benefit from chiropractic.
Wow.
Because we remove those interferences. And really, what is disease? And I'll end in this. This is kind of out there, but I like to share this analogy. It's great. If a lot of people, it's the way we think about things when it comes to disease. It scares the heck out of people. They're so kind of almost mentally trained to think about disease as something that's going to come get you. And once it gets you, oh, it got me. You know, the sugar got me. We hear that all the time about diabetics that just got diagnosed, newly diagnosed as a acute onset type 2 diabetic. Or anything, any disease, it's like a tangible monster that's going to get you. When in fact, I tell people to close their eyes and imagine that they're in a room with no light. It's just dark. And if you can do that, everybody close your eyes, imagine you're in a dark room with no light at all, nothing. Now, can you feel the dark? Take your hand out and feel it. Can you feel the darkness? No, you can't. Can we measure it somehow? Not without a presence of light. We can't. And here's a big one. Does it even exist? I mean, dark is only really measured in the presence or lack of presence of light. There's nothing tangible there. Now let's turn the switch on and the light comes on. Now we have light. Where'd the dark go? It's gone. But the light came in. Okay, now can we feel the light? Yeah, it's warm. Put your hand up to a bulb. You can feel the light. Can we measure it? We know exactly how much a photon carries. We use it in tools all the time. It's a very tangible tool, very effective. Think of disease as dark. It's not something that can actually get you. It's actually when the light or the health decreases, that's correct. So what causes health in a body? Direct, full communication, central nervous system, brain, organ, tissue. When those are communicating at 100%, you're healthy because they're not guessing. However, if anything happens, thoughts, trauma, toxins that happen to impinge those impulses from the brain to any of those tissues, they start to guess, do a little guesswork. A little more darkness creeps in. In other words, a little bit more health decreases. It's going to bring some guesswork. It's going to go from a state of ease to dis-ease. And if not taken care of, disease, which is really where it comes from. Dis-ease goes to disease. So, is it something that can actually get you? No. Can it actually be reversed? If it's not too far along, yes. The body's ability to heal itself, there's a certain power there that we work with. And I'll end on this. If you cut yourself right there, and you come to me and say, Dr. Horsley, could you fix that? And I took it, washed it, put a Band-Aid on it, come back and see me in a week. So you go and you come back in a week, and we remove that Band-Aid, and we go, oh, man, I'm a great doctor. I healed that, didn't I? That would be ridiculous. Well, it's the same thing with medical or chiropractor or anybody. There's no doctor on earth, and if there is, they don't know what they're talking about, that will say that they know more about the human body than the human body knows about itself and how to take care of itself. What we do as chiropractors, the power, we always say, the power that heals that created the body heals the body. We are blessed to work with that power each and every day. That's called innate intelligence. That's what we were either born with, or if you believe in a creator, was blessed with. So, but either way, what we do is we work with that power by removing the interference. The body knows what to do, and we can let it do it. We just remove the interference. And that's all wrapped up in subluxation complexes. So, you talk to people, and they just, once you understand what a chiropractor is, it's a pretty powerful health care alternative to mainstream, which is kind of funny because what we do has been around 4,600 years. What you know to be mainstream medicine today has been around since 1929. So you do the math. But yet we're alternative. It's kind of weird, isn't it? How corporate can sneak in and switch everything around on you. But it's a very powerful and just awesome branch of healthcare, and it's really the only healthcare that people should come to if they're sick or if they're perfectly healthy to remain that way.
So pretty much, other than a limb being hanging off or whatever, you should start with chiropractic care.
It really is the portal, or should be the portal of healthcare. I'm glad you brought that up because if you look at our system today, You can go into a doctor's office or an ER or a medical doctor. Well, what if are you dying? If you say, no, well, I'm not dying, I just feel cruddy. Well, did I have a stroke or a heart attack? Do I need life-saving procedures done? Well, if the answer is no to that, then, well, there's only one remaining answer, and it's, do I have an advanced disease? And if the answer is no to those three, what are you doing there? Because what's going to happen is you're going to get on a flow chart. Here's your symptoms. Here's the drugs available. Take a drug. Mm-hmm. That drug's going to have a side effect, giving you other symptoms to take other drugs for. You're going to get caught in this vicious cycle. Your health is over here is going to go down as your feel good goes up. By the time we see patients as chiropractors, this is where they're at. And we've got to
get them
back. That's correct. And it gets a little frustrating after a while because of, there's a lot of corporate greed going on as well. And, drugs make a lot of money and this and that, and we understand all that. But at the same time, if people understood that the diagnostic skills of a chiropractor, we go to the same classes, we go to this, actually have more hours. If you look at the hours, 4,600 as opposed to 3,800. We're not better. We're not saying we're better. We're saying that they're not either.
Take a different approach.
That's right. We're all in it together in a healthcare, and they have allopathic system. Look, if you're in a head-on, don't come to your chiropractor. Go to your medical doctor. But if you're not dying, have an advanced disease, or need surgery, go to a chiropractor first, and that way at least you'll either get fixed up real nice, or you'll get to a correct diagnosis and be given to the correct doctor or specialist,
what it is.
And you don't have to go through 5 or 10 different things or get something that's invasive over something so easy to remedy without drugs or surgery. So it really should be a portal of healthcare.
Okay, we're just about out of time,
Yeah.
but tell us, how would somebody reach you?
That would be a good question. 302.
629?
302-629-4344.
I think you're right.
I think I'm right, yeah.
4344.
That is right. 302-629-4344.
Peninsula Chiropractic Center. And any last thoughts here?
I think I pretty much talked to everybody.
You did.
Tired.
Okay. I'm a fan of it. I would recommend it. So I would think anybody and everybody, has nothing to lose by trying a chiropractic visit.
You try it, you won't go back. If you go
Right.
to go to a good chiropractor, you won't go back.
Okay. All right, we're going to take another commercial break, and then Anthony Joseph is going to be back on with his guest, Kirk Marino, who has tactical solutions. So stay tuned. We're going to be back in just a minute or two.
And we're back live at Jimmy's Grill. I'm Anthony Joseph, and now my special guest, Kurt Marino from Marino Tactical Solutions. And Kurt, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk about concealed weapon permits. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been offering the concealed carry classes for 4 years. Been in business for, like I said, about 4 years. We do a wide range of classes, but by far the concealed carry permits are our bread and butter.
Why did you start that?
There's a need for it. There's a lot of trainers in Delaware offering a variety of classes. From some of the things I've seen, it's been, some of the trainers offer 4 or 5 day classes, which I think is a little bit excessive. It's nice to get everything done in one day, and that's what we specialize in. It's actually a 1 day class.
Now, you were formerly in the Army. Does that background help you in this business especially?
Absolutely. Yeah, I got a pretty wide variety of training in the military, as well as some, not just the military training, but also some other trainers, NRA certified instructor, and a couple other companies, and it benefits greatly.
Now, with the gun control debate, have you seen an increase in your business, people trying to get a gun permit? Very much.
Yeah, for years past, we've been averaging 1 or 2 classes a week, usually with 8 or 10 people in a class. Here in the past few months, we've actually had to hire on another instructor, and now we're offering 3 or 4 classes a week with 12 or 14 people in every class.
Are women applying for gun permits?
Yes, there's in almost every class there's usually at least a few females, and actually to the point where some of them, just for their comfort, we actually offer women's only classes also.
Now, have you seen an increase in that throughout the past couple years, or? Yes,
very much.
And do you think it's because of the gun debate, because they want to feel safe too?
Absolutely. I'll tell you, with the economy the way it is, the crime rate's not getting any better. Delaware, as a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, our crime rate was in the area 40% higher than the national average. By the end of 2013, it's expected to be nearly 60% higher, and we see it on a regular basis. I mean, just look in the news, and there's home invasions and robberies and burglaries everywhere you look.
How many classes do you teach in a month?
We do about 3 or 4 a week. It depends on the month, but on average, in that area, 3 or 4 a week.
How many hours does a person need to complete the course?
Our class is an 8-hour course. The state dictates the content of the course, not necessarily the time. So we have a very efficient class that we're able to include everything, including the shooting portion, in 8 hours.
Now, if someone had a concealed weapon permit in another state, do they still have to apply in Delaware for an application, or how does that work?
If they're a resident of Delaware, they have to have a Delaware permit. Delaware won't honor any other state's permits for a non-resident. The program that you're talking about is called reciprocity, where some states honor other states' permits. If you're a Delaware resident, you have to have a Delaware permit. That's actually a common misconception. Some people think that since Florida permits are honored in Delaware, they can just go get a Florida permit and save going through the hoops of the Delaware process. It's actually not the case. If you live in Delaware, you have to have the Delaware permit.
Now, when you teach the course, what are some of the firearms that the applicants fire?
You see absolutely everything. We've seen, the big 44 hand cannons down to, little small 22s and things like that. And it's really just a matter of preference, whatever the person's comfortable with. We usually suggest, just for familiarization reasons, that you bring the gun that you intend to carry to the class and fire with that. But especially now with the ammo shortages and how hard guns and ammo are to find, it's okay to fire any suitable handgun, anything that would be good for self-defense. So if you want to, or you can even split it up. If you want to carry a 45, you can bring a 45, shoot half the class with the 45 and the other half with the 22, because the 22 is a lot cheaper round and it's much easier to find.
Now, you're talking about the shortage. If they don't have a gun and they don't have the ammo, do you supply that? Is that included?
We can. Yeah, like I said, we normally suggest that if you can find a gun and a suitable self-defense gun, to bring that. But we do have rentals that we're happy to lend out whenever the need arises.
So the class will last one night. Now, how much does it cost?
It's $150. The $150 is the basic rate, but we do offer a wide range of discounts. We offer military discounts for active and retired military members. We also offer law enforcement spouses discounts. So if your husband or wife is a police officer, you have the right, you have even more need than the average person, because just the nature of the beast, what your husband or wife does, it's a dangerous job, and you could be victimized because of that, or somebody could threaten you because of that. So we offer like I said, spousal discounts for law enforcement. We've also just recently started offering teacher discounts. The state of the world, especially with all the school shootings. Now, of course, you can't carry in a school, but it's nice to have a good base of training for teachers. So we offer 10% discount for teachers also. Something else that we just recently started, my former unit in the military was the 153rd Military Police Company. They just redeployed. They're now in Afghanistan. They got there a couple of days ago. Any immediate family member of a deployed member of the 153rd, we're offering that military discount to them. So if you're husband, son, wife, parent of a deployed member of the 153rd, then we're extending that military discount to them as well, and that's 10%.
Now it takes one day from like 8 to 5:30, and what is included in that course? Do you help them if they're not familiar with firing a gun?
Absolutely. The course is actually geared for a novice shooter, someone with little to no shooting experience, just so that way all the bases are covered. So someone that, and it happens on a regular basis where we get people in there that have never handled a firearm before. Of course, we suggest having some degree of familiarity with it. But if the need be, we'll start at the base level and build from there. But the way the course is structured is the morning is our PowerPoint presentations, classroom stuff, lecture, and then we take a break for lunch. And after lunch, we spend the rest of the day out on the range.
How much one-on-one time? As I mentioned, if somebody's just they're not familiar with a gun and they're a little bit clumsy, do you help them out?
Absolutely. We start off when we're on the range. All of the drills that we do dry. We do without ammo, so that way it's a safe, controlled environment until they're comfortable with it. We will not load around until the person is completely comfortable and they know that they can fire safely.
So when they're on the range, how accurate are some of these shooters? Are they pretty good? Do they get in the center?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of and it's. To some extent, it's easier teaching a person with limited firearms experience because you don't have any bad habits to break. Someone that is self-taught may have a bad habit of what's called trapping the thumb or putting the thumb behind the slide or something like that. And once you get in the process of doing that, once you build that muscle memory, it's real tough to break. So if you get them in the beginning and teach them right from the gate, it's usually a lot easier.
Now, what is the age? What's the age group? You have to be 18 years of age?
For the concealed carry permits, yes. We do also offer a basic firearms or a basic NRA pistol class, which the age limit for that is 13. But in order to attend the class or to get a concealed carry permit, you have to be at least 18 years of age.
For the concealed gun permit, what is the application process? Does it take a long time?
It's a pretty lengthy process. It's actually 7 steps or seven separate things that you have to do, the class being one of those steps. Some of the other things is you have to run an ad in a local paper saying that you're applying for a permit. You have to get 5 references. Your references have to live in the same county as you, but they can't be directly related to you. You have to go through a background check. You have to be fingerprinted and have a federal background check done. You have to, of course, complete the application to notarize that. You also have to have your pictures taken, and then the picture, of course, that you provide with the courthouse is what goes on the application, or I'm sorry, on your permit. I think it's actually 6 steps that you have to complete.
Now, if people want that application, they can actually go to your website instead of going to the courthouse. Is that correct?
Yes, you can get a walk-in. If you walk into the Superior Court in any county, they'll give you the permit. You can also print it off from the court's website, but it's a little difficult to navigate that. My website, trainforthefight.com, I have a links page, and the first link on that page takes you directly to the forms that you need to print out for the Delaware application.
How many calls do you get a day, and what are some of the questions?
We're taking anywhere from 15 to 30 calls a day on average. We're exceptionally busy right now. So the most common question is about the classes, how are they structured, how often do we offer them. We also on our website have a list of our class dates and the available dates, and you can actually send us either a contact through the website itself, or you can call us and book a spot in the class. Some of the other things that we run into are about our discount programs, about ammunition, weapons and ammunition, how to secure them for the class. Because, like I said, guns and ammo are getting really hard to find right now.
What is one thing that somebody needs to consider before they apply for a gun permit?
Well, they have to be legally allowed to carry a gun. That's by far the most important thing. If you can't possess a gun or ammunition by law, then obviously you can't have the permit. Another thing that we run into on a pretty regular basis is people are concerned with background issues. because Delaware is a may issue state. May issue means that if you are the perfect applicant, ultimately it's up to the judge whether or not that permit is issued, versus a shall issue state. A shall issue state like Pennsylvania or Florida, if you meet the minimum criteria, they have to give you the permit. In Delaware, ultimately it's up to a judge or the investigator whether or not you get the permit. So occasionally we'll run into people will have questions about their background, if they had an old DUI or something like that, if that's going to prohibit them. And it's on a case-by-case basis. Ultimately, it's up to the judge whether that permit would be issued or not.
Besides a DUI, if you're a convict, you're not going to be able to apply for a permit.
Right,
Is that
absolutely,
correct?
yes. Yeah, well, it depends on what you're convicted of. Misdemeanor offenses and things like that. Yeah, if you're a convicted felon, you can't. If you're convicted of any drug-related offense, any domestic violence offense, and there's a kind of a laundry list that's also on the website. If you meet any of those criteria, and you should already know it, then you can't have a gun, let alone get a concealed carry permit.
But if you have any questions and you feel you're not sure if you can get one, they can call you and you can kind of talk it over
Absolutely,
with them?
we'll walk them through the process entirely. And actually, as the process specifically, we also go through that as part of the class as well.
Now, besides the concealed carry class that you have, what are the other two classes that you offer?
We offer an advanced pistol class, which it's a lot less lecture and a lot more tactical shooting drills. We have tactical rifle drills, tactical shotgun drills, and then we also offer the basic NRA classes.
Now, with the high demand, is there a big waiting list for people? If they call you tomorrow, can they get in a class, or are they going to have to wait a couple months?
Right now, we're running about a month. Our classes are booked out for right around a month. So we're currently booking classes for about the middle of March. So call early. Occasionally, we'll have cancellations, and we're able to fill that spot. And then just to meet demand, we're actually adding classes on a regular basis. Whenever we can, if we get a free day, we add a class to help offset the wait.
So you said you're getting another instructor. When will those classes be added to the
He's actually already on.
Okay.
He's been doing classes with us for it's been about a month. So, and that's the only reason that we're able to do 3 and 4 classes a month is because there's 2 instructors teaching the classes.
Okay. So if you keep continuing with a high demand, you might have to add on even more, which would be a good thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would welcome it.
Now, if people want to reach you, how can they do it? Through your website? Call you?
You can either do it through the website, which is www.trainforthefight.com, or you can call my phone number. It's 302-542-3755.
Now, your slogan is always train for the fight. Why did you feel that was the right motto for you?
The more realistic you make your training, the better off you're going to be. If you're in the habit of doing, if you don't train at all, which God forbid, if you don't train at all, you shouldn't be carrying a gun. I suggest anybody that has a permit or carries a gun for self-defense, whether it's open carry or concealed carry, you should be firing at least 50 to 100 rounds per month just to maintain proficiency. The more realistic you make the training, the better off you're going to be. The goal of realistic training is to build muscle memory. The more you do something, whatever it is, your body learns how to do it automatically. If you don't train, or if you don't train efficiently in a fight, when somebody's attacking you, somebody's coming at you with a knife and they're trying to stab you with it, you're going to have to think about all these things that are going on. You have to think about where your gun is and how to unholster it and how to get it off and can you shoot and where there's a million things that are going to go on. If you train yourself and you know how to react and when to react, there's a lot less thinking. You could be concentrating on where my avenues of escape. Can I run away if the need be? Where's my family? Are they in a safe area? You can concentrate on things like that, and pulling the gun out and squeezing the trigger, that's automatic.
Now, after you get your concealed weapon permit, now if somebody has a coat that's a big coat that kind of makes it not very visible, is it reprimanded that you have to make sure that it's visible, so when you're out in public, people need to know that they can see that gun instead of being hidden by, say, like a big coat?
For open carry, yeah, the gun has to be completely visible. And then likewise for concealed carry, it's got to be completely concealed. So if I had a gun in my pocket and I was wearing a really tight shirt and the silhouette of the gun was showing, that's not considered concealed because people can plainly see that that's a gun. So it's either got to be completely concealed or completely open.
Okay. One more thing. Just give out your email or website and phone number before we wrap it up so people can contact you.
The website is www.trainforthefight.com. I also have an email address. That's marinotactical@gmail.com. And then the phone number is 302-542-3755.
Kurt, before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to add?
I just thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. So that's Kurt Marino from Marino Tactical Solutions. Coming up, Jim Weller and Colin Walls as they wrap up, as we're live at Jimmy's Grill.
Can you wait a minute? I got a question for you.
We're back, Jim.
We're back?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Stop with all the side conversations.
All right, good enough then. It's been a very busy
Very
evening.
unprofessional.
Is it really?
And you're usually so
I didn't know we were
professional.
back. Yeah, I am, aren't I?
Yeah.
I am, ain't I?
That was a really good show.
Really good show.
Yes. Yep. We had Joe Rogerson
Yep.
from
Denrec.
Yep.
He did a great job.
Yeah, he told me a lot of stuff. I learned a lot of stuff from him about the I thought blue tongue disease and the chronic wasting disease were the same thing. They're not. So you don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
It's been so long since I had blue tongue. But the chronic wasting disease is a different story.
Well, we can see that. We
Right.
can see you're wasting away to nothing. Anthony Joseph did a good job with sports.
He did.
Talking about the basketball. The
And what was it?
recovery.
Danica Patrick is
Danica
coming to
Patrick.
where?
Well, I think
Lincoln or
Anthony's-
Bridgeville?
I thought Anthony was taking her out on a date or something like that. That's what
Okay.
Jack Riddle said.
Okay.
That's what Jack Riddle said. But, you
All
can't
right.
believe everything he says. Dr. Randall Horsley with
Did
the
a good
nutrition
job,
from
yep.
Peninsula Chiropractic down in Seaford. And Kirk Marino, Tactical Solutions. Mm-hmm. That's very interesting with the concealed carry. And,
Isn't it?
And, yeah, and just even the open carry, how you've got to carry yourself and your sidearm.
Yes.
So it was a good show.
Real good show.
Yeah.
Are we going to do this again?
I think we're going to do it next week. Next
Tuesday night?
Yep.
Okay. I need to start bringing the list of who we got next.
That's a good
I
idea.
forgot. I can't remember.
I know.
All right. If
So
you want to
many.
be on the show, what do people do?
They can send us an email, jim@catchitlive.com.
Or mail us a card in the mail, slip a $100 bill in there, and we'll get you in sooner.
Yes.
We're booked up to like, May?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So,
And here's the bad news. We're losing our scheduling person.
yes.
Sherry.
Yes. So,
Unfortunately,
well, we'll still be
sorry
doing
to
it.
say,
Don't worry
but-
about it.
But we'll still
Yeah.
have somebody schedule it.
Absolutely.
But she did a really good job.
She did a real good job. So, Sherry, if you're watching or listening, as I've said 1,000 times this week, I'm going to miss you when you're gone. Sherry works for me. She's been with me 9 years. And she is going to go work somewhere else because she wants to feel more challenged than I've challenged her. So, They're going to give her a whole lot of new things to do that will get her excited and
That's good for her.
challenge her. Yep. So they're going to get a great employee, and I am losing a great employee. So, but Sherry has been lining up her Catch It Live guests, and I think my son Jimmy's going to take that over. So.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I think
All
so.
right, good.
You were worried. You were thinking it was coming your way,
I
weren't
thought I
you?
was going to have to do it, yeah.
No, I think we're going to take care of it. Don't worry about it.
At worst, I thought Brooks was going to have to do it.
Oh, no.
All right, I do want to thank Grant, and I want to thank Brooks.
Yes.
You can't see them, but they're really good guys. Their mothers love them very much, and they're really talented and gifted. And they work behind the scenes to make sure everything does work. So when everything's working, they are the guys. They did a great job. When everything's not working, they are the guys. But they do a good job. Yeah, they get the credit and the blame.
I want
But
to take some of the credit, though.
yes, you do a great job. You bring the equipment here, don't you?
I deliver it.
You deliver it.
I do
and,
set it up a lot of times.
You know,
That's
you
okay.
oversee everything and so on. So, been a real good show. We have a real good time. If you have an event you want to talk to us about being involved in, let us know. If you want to be on the show, let us know. And we got any basketball games, or is it Friday mornings next?
Friday. we got Friday morning.
Dan
We also
Gaffney
got
show.
Friday morning here at Jimmy's Grill in the back. Dan Gaffney show right next to the salad bar.
Okay.
We'll be broadcasting
smell the bacon.
that live. Yes.
Friday morning we'll be here at 5:30 to 10. Dan does a show. We had the pancake eating contest last week. That was good.
Yeah, we did. And something else I want to mention. If you want to tune in a little bit early on Friday mornings, you can watch us getting set up and everything. And it's just kind of fun to see
Yes.
me, you, and Dan just sitting around joking with each other and laughing.
Getting our hair straight, stuff like that.
Yeah, Jim deciding how you want to part your hair. So that's pretty interesting. If you've got nothing to do at 5 o'clock in the morning, just
Right, and if you want us to call you, wake you up, shoot us an email. Jim@wellers.com. Oh, Jim@catchitlive.com.
Is that GYM?
No, it's JIM.
Oh, okay. All right. I
right.
always just go to Jim.
You do.
To see you, you know.
Yep. All right. Oh, anything else?
Yes, Friday evening we're going to be doing a basketball game. Anthony Joseph will be calling that. We've got the girls basketball Henlopen Conference championship game.
Okay.
And then after that, what time is that, Anthony?
6 o'clock.
That one's at 6 o'clock.
15 tip-off.
6 o'clock pregame, 6:15 tip-off. And then we've got the boys game after that.
Correct, yeah.
Boy, that's going to be a long day for me.
And
I'm going to be
Anthony.
up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm going to be up at 3:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And how late
You'll
am
be
I going to
fine.
be? How late am I going to be up for the boys basketball game? What time does it start? After the
Probably
girls,
about, I don't know,
7:15, 7:30.
I would like to say you really do a good job doing them games. I don't know if you call it calling them, announcing them, whatever you do. I was listening to you the other night, and I was quite impressed. I was like, wow, we have surrounded ourselves with a very talented young man.
It makes us look better.
It
brings
does.
our
Well,
level
you know,
up.
every successful person surrounds himself with people better than himself. That's really how you do it. So,
Yes.
Anthony, you're doing a good job. Thank
Yes,
you.
very good. Very happy.
So anyway, and I guess other than that, that's about it. So we got basketball, we got
Yes.
Dan Gaffney show, we got Catch It Live next Tuesday night. We is a busy group of people. So other than that, I'm done if you're done.
I've got one more thing.
Okay.
If you want to sponsor these games, we're actually, if we get enough sponsors, we're going to go ahead and do the last two games, which are the first and second round of
Oh,
the,
you really?
the state championships. We're going
Okay.
to do video of the basketball games.
Wow.
So any sponsors out there that would like
we're
to
going to get
do
a
it,
bunch of GoPro cameras and put them on the players.
yeah, each camera is going to be mic'd and
Okay.
their own camera.
And they're going to be
No,
wearing a Weller decal.
A Weller decal. Okay. So what would they do? Call Anthony or shoot us an email?
yes, they
or?
can shoot us an email at info@catchitlive.com, Colin@catchitlive.com, Jim@catchitlive.com,
Okay.
or they can call Anthony Joseph. Anthony Joseph's phone number is
Does he want to give it out? He's
I gave
Yes.
it out a while ago.
Oh, did you?
645-3309.
645
No.
845 245 302 245 3309 245 3309 toll free 1-302 245 3309. That way Anthony won't have to pay any charges. It's toll free for him. Give him a call. Say, look, here's my budget. I want to spend some money. I want to be part of Catch It Live. I like to support my community. And how can I also get some benefit of being associated with you guys?
Yes.
And Anthony will tell you all, and it's very affordable.
It is very affordable. So
Yes.
and get in touch with us as soon as possible because
Yes.
these videos, we've got to get a video together.
743. If you can let Anthony have a firm answer by 9 o'clock tonight, he'd be happy. Okay.
Yep.
Or take
All right.
your time. You can have till 9:30. All right. Is that it?
That's it. We got to
We're
get
good.
out of here. They're
All
going to
right.
kick us out.
Thanks a lot. God bless you. Have a good night. We'll see you Friday morning.
Friday morning,
And then we got Friday afternoon, and who knows what's
Friday
next.
night, and
Yeah.
Tuesday again, and
There we go.
We'll see
All right.
ya.
See you. Bye.
bye.